This is it, you guys. Oh my gosh, I've just been sitting here. My heart is pounding for some reason, just because I'm so ready and excited for this round of HB90 Bootcamp. I love, like, for those of you that are brand new to the bootcamp, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to have alumni on this call, and we're going to have all of our brand new students. And I'm very excited to say that this is our largest class of new students of all time, which I am just blown away and totally grateful for that. So thank you for everybody who has trusted me with the next week of your life. So I do see some people on Facebook. I love you too, KT. I've got alumni here, and it looks like we do have some people from the new group as well. So I think we've got everybody, and I am live. If sometimes StreamYard and Facebook do not play super nicely together. So if anything happens weird with Facebook, there is a link to the YouTube as well in the group or on the course website. But it looks so far like we're good to go. I am so excited. And honestly, the last round of a year is always my favorite one because we have not only a new fresh start, just like we do every quarter, but we also have a new fresh start for the year. And I don't know about you, but I am ready to say goodbye to 2021 and really welcome in 2022 with fresh energy, fresh excitement, and to really start to see some big changes in my life. And I am excited to support you on this journey too. I have to tell you honestly that I go through every single name of every single person who joins, and I just say a little bit of an intention, a little bit of a prayer that even if this entire system is not exactly what you need, that we will find a way to work together, and that there will be some piece that you will learn here in the next 7 days that will help you, that will click for you, that will help you to be a little bit more productive, a little bit more joyful, a little bit more in control of your time. There, like we'll talk about a little bit inside this call, there is no one size fits all, like this is the productivity system. So for those of you, because I know we do have some people here that are even new to me as a teacher, because you haven't been following me on YouTube for very long, or you found out about me from an affiliate who was telling you about the course. So some of you are not as familiar with me, but I just want you to know, first of all, I'm Sarah Cannon, but I want you to know about me and the fact that I am truly invested in your success. And so if there's at any point in the next week or even the next year that you feel like, hey, this isn't quite working for me, I really want to adapt this or make this work for me. Like, I don't like the Kanban board on the wall. I want to find something new. You will now have access not only to me if you need help, but also to over 1,000 alumni who have learned to adapt this system over time. So you have really and truly joined an author family here. And some of us are not even authors. Some of us are entrepreneurs or just trying to get our lives together a little bit more. But you have definitely joined this family, and we are going to work on this together. So you are not alone. It is going to be an awesome round, and 2022 is going to be a great year. So we're going to jump right into a kickoff call, basically. So this is going to be a presentation for you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. For those of you who are alumni, some of this, like always, will be a little new, and some of it will be things that you've seen before. Oh, hi, I'm not an author, but I'm here because of Cindy. Oh my gosh, thank you again, Cindy, for sharing, and for everybody who's shared this. But truly, this is a chance to change your life. And I am going to talk a little bit about that today, because I think that sometimes when we want to change our lives and we have this huge desire because we have big dreams or we have things that we want to do, it can feel like there's this big gap, hey, Teresa, between where we are and where we want to be. And we're going to start talking about how do you close that gap? How do you start moving into this person that you want to be and seeing your life change? So are you ready? That's the biggest question. Are you ready to change your life? And I think sometimes when we think about this, we're just thinking, oh my gosh, that means I have to be a brand new person. I have to show up as someone else. So this is going to be a bit of what we talk about today. Maybe you're here in this course because of some of these things, because there's something Either you heard about it from someone else, you've been thinking about this course for a while, but chances are some of this resonates with you or sounds familiar, that you've been throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something is going to stick. You're not sure where to focus, so you're just doing it all. Maybe you've been completely overwhelmed by how much there is to do, so you never really know what to focus on. That is a big one for me before this course, before I started developing this system. It's like I sit down and there's so much to do, I don't even know where to start. Or maybe you're just always feeling so disappointed in yourself because you're not living up to your potential. You should be capable of this, but you're just never following through. Maybe you're so busy, but you just aren't seeing the results you want. You're doing all the things. You're on social media, you're getting the YouTube channel done, you're writing the books, and you're just not seeing the results. For a lot of you, especially at this time of year, maybe you're feeling stuck or burned out. Maybe you're just totally exhausted. You just want to get off the hamster wheel. Maybe you start and you plan a lot of projects. Oh, I'm sitting here right in the way of this, aren't I? Let me see if I can move that. Is that better? Maybe you start and plan a lot of projects, but you never seem to finish them. This is also a big one for me, as I would say, oh, I'm going to do this newsletter, but then I would get a little bit into it and then I would run out of time, or I'm going to start this other social media plan, or I'm going to start this. And then I wouldn't ever see the results because I couldn't ever finish and see an entire project all the way through. Or maybe, and I know this is true because I've just heard people talking about this after doing the Ideal Life workbook. Maybe you're scared that if you don't start seeing results soon, it's going to be too late for you and you're just never going to have your dream life and it's going to be gone. So which ones of these resonate with you? Maybe there's a few people here who are like, hey, I've got my life together. I'm just looking to, refine my process. So if that's you, then you're in great hands. But if any of these are you and you resonate with this, I'm here to tell you that this program can work. It can make a difference. And it's going to be the kind of program where it's like this 90 days, things will get a little better. And then you'll learn and it's going to get better and better and better. So that when you're sitting here this time next year, you could have a totally different life, a totally different way of doing things. And you could feel a lot better instead of exhausted and burned out all the time. You're actually getting things done and seeing results, but you're actually working less hours. I promise this is possible. In terms of why I know that these things are true and why I know it's working is because that was my story too. I was totally fed up with myself because I was literally busy all the time and I never felt like it was enough. My husband would say, are you done working? Can we sit and watch TV for a little bit? Are you going to work another Saturday? I was always busy. And I still felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't seeing the results. And I was pretty much always disappointed in myself. I was always late with things. I was always falling short of my goals. And I was always beating myself up over it. And it's like, why am I busy all the time and still can't get it done? I also had way more to do than I could possibly fit into my available time. But because every single piece of it felt important, like it had to get done, instead of making a realistic, imperfect plan, I always expected myself to become superhuman. And I ended up feeling like a failure who was always disappointing people. So this was, and I still struggle with this. So it's not going to be like we snap our fingers and one 90 days, your life is totally fixed. But I'm going to teach you a way to plan. And hopefully this round of the course is going to even up level it a little bit more in terms of estimating your available time. But instead of being realistic, I would say, okay, so I have, 12 hours worth of work to do and I only have 5 hours. I'm just going to go ahead and try to cram those 12 hours worth of stuff in. And then I would think that because I couldn't do it, there was something wrong with me. So I know that this is a lot of how you guys are feeling too. I was so scared that I would never truly have or deserve the life and success I wanted. And then that fear paralyzed me. And then I ended up wasting even more time avoiding what I knew I should be doing. And then back in that cycle of being disappointed and upset. So it was just this constant cycle of I would start to move a little bit forward and then I would fail because I was trying to fit way too much on my plate. And then I would say, oh my gosh, I've got too much to do. I don't know where to start. And then I would get paralyzed. And for me, I don't know how it manifests with you, but for me, I ended up my form of paralyzed would be grabbing a whole thing of Oreos or Doritos and sitting down and watching HGTV for literally 4 hours or 5 hours at a time, or investigation discovery, listening to true crime podcasts. Those are the kinds of things I would do. And I would be so mad at myself because I was thinking, I know I have literally 5 million things to do, and I can't force myself to do any of it because I cannot get to a point of motivation. I was always down on myself. And so that led to, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? In short, I was constantly frustrated by the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. I could see that dream life, and many of you have gone through this ideal life workbook that you did as your pre-course homework. Slowly folds the Dorito back closed. See, we see each other. We see each other. For me, I loved dreaming of the future. I know it has been difficult for some of you to look to that future, and that's okay if you weren't able to do that. But for many of us, we see where we want to go. We know the kind of life we want to have, and we feel like somewhere deep inside that we are capable of it. But all we can see when we start to take action is how far we are from that life. And then we start to place impossible demands on ourselves. Like, okay, so this is the year. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to do yoga every morning. I'm going to eat perfectly healthy. I'm going to lose those 20 pounds. I'm going to get my book written in 30 days. And we start putting these impossible demands on ourselves. And then we feel like there's something wrong with us, or that we're flawed because we can't close that gap fast enough between where we are now and what we want to be. And I was trying so hard to close that gap and just suddenly snap my fingers and be the person I wanted to be instantly, that it was exhausting me and burning me out. I constantly felt guilty. I felt tired. I felt overwhelmed. And I was truly terrified that if future Sarah, who was supposed to be perfect, didn't show up for me soon, I was truly going to miss out on the biggest dreams of my life. And that fear paralyzed me. No pressure, right? So often our feelings of always being behind and overwhelmed come from this fear that if we don't do it all fast enough, we're going to miss out on the life we want. We're going to miss out on the goals. It's going to be too late. Everybody else already has books out. There's 5 million books on Kindle, or there might be 30 million books. I don't know how many are out there now. We feel like because we're behind, that we're never going to catch up. We're going to miss it. So we have to rush. We have to close that gap. We have to become the person we need to be in the future right now. And that is an impossible task. What if we're actually holding ourselves back by expecting this impossible version to show up? This perfect superhuman version of yourself doesn't exist. And yet when we sit down so often to plan our goals, we expect that version of ourselves to show up. That when we sit down and we plan, tell me if this sounds familiar to any of you. Sometimes when we sit down to plan, we bargain with ourselves. We take reality completely out of the equation and we say, oh, well, I know that I only typically write 1,000 words a day, but in order to get this book done this time, I'm going to write 3,000 words a day every single day, and I'm not going to take a break. That's the kind of thing that we do. And then we will schedule out this plan, this ideal day for ourselves where we literally don't even have a 30-minute break because we're trying to get everything in so fast. And the truth is, even though that feels like the most efficient way to do it, we end up paralyzed, exhausted, and we get so much less done. So you're going to learn a new way of doing things. What if there was actually a way to make huge leaps forward toward your dreams, toward that dream person that you want to be, without having to exhaust yourself to get there, without having to expect yourself to show up perfect every single day? There is a way, and you can start to see massive results in just 90 days. So here's that list I showed you: throwing spaghetti at the wall, being overwhelmed, when you really start to work the HB90 system, the difference that you're going to start to see is that instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall, you have a plan that actually works and gets results. And if this 90 days, it doesn't get the results you were wanting, you're armed with that information because you did it all intentionally, and you can make changes next quarter. And that's where you start to get control over what you're doing. Right now, you're completely overwhelmed by how much there is to do, so you don't know where to focus. With HB90, there's still going to be a lot to do, but you're in control and you're focused only on your list for this 90 days. You're learning to let go of the rest of it. For some of you, this is going to be a morning process that you're going to have to say, okay, I'm going to have to let go of some things that I really wanted to do in order to create a realistic plan. But you don't have to face that right now. We'll get to that later. Instead of feeling disappointed in yourself for not living up to your potential, you're excited and you're proud of yourself because you can see your dream life coming true every day, piece by piece. Every single quarter, once we get to the end of the quarter and people are starting to actually look at their quarterly review, every single time somebody says, oh my gosh, I felt like I didn't really accomplish that much this quarter because I still have all these sticky notes on my board or all this stuff I didn't do. But wow, when I started writing it down, I can see just how much I got done. And that's going to be you too. You're going to start to see the results in a new way. And instead of just being so busy and not seeing the results you want, you're going to start to see progress. And hopefully you even have some free time to refill the well, to spend time with your family, to really sit and enjoy your life instead of being hustle, hustle, hustle all the time. And instead of being stuck and burned out, you're going to start moving forward with joy, actual joy instead of burnout. And instead of starting and planning stuff and never finishing it, you're going to finish what you start. And you can see your clear next steps. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to finish this book, then I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to start creating my strategy, and I'm going to do all of these things. And you'll start to see how that work is building momentum. And instead of being scared that it's going to be too late for you, you're going to start to accept and understand that you are exactly where you are meant to be, and you are making it happen. What if, rather than expecting some future perfect version of myself to show up for me, I decided to show up for my future self instead, right now, as I am, flaws and all? Ask yourself that. Just read that and think about it for yourself. Rather than expecting to snap a finger and show up on January 1st as this like new perfect version who's going to be superhuman and get it all done, who can somehow fit 12 hours worth of work into 4 hours a day. You just decide that you're going to show up right as you are, exactly who you are right now. You don't have to change who you are. In my opinion, goal setting is come as you are, not come as you wish you were. And so often, especially at New Year, we approach goal setting with, I am going to come to the table as a new version of me, when the truth is that is not realistic. You come as you are. I have suffered, I've talked about this pretty openly, I have suffered with anxiety more this quarter. We have been moving around and I don't have a solid house. I cannot expect myself to, yeah, sorry about the earworm. I knew it would happen for a few of us. But I cannot expect myself to show up in Q1 of this year the same way I did in Q1 before my daughter was born. I have to show up as Sarah with a 2-year-old who doesn't have a house, who is suffering with a little bit more anxiety than normal. And I have to plan for success right as I am, rather than looking at myself and saying, you're flawed. Why can't you do this? I have to say, I am exactly who I need to be right now, and I'm going to do my best as I am right now. And I know that sometimes people come to this course and they think, I just want to learn how to do things faster. I don't want to work on myself, because it can be really scary to work on the mental side of goal setting. But in my humble opinion, goal setting and going after your dreams is self-development. It's almost more of a mental gymnastics as than it is actually sitting down and writing the books or doing the work. You have to show up proud of who you are, being 100% where you are right now. I saw somebody say, I have to let go of what past Maggie could do. And that's true. Any type of life changes that we have, we got to meet ourselves where we are. And sometimes we just waste so much energy trying to hold on to the past, trying to wish that we were different, beating ourselves up over not being better or reaching our own potential fast enough. And I think that this is a big part of where we can make a big difference for ourselves without actually having to do anything, to just take a deep breath and let your shoulders down a little bit and say, I am going to show up exactly as I am, come as you are right now. And I'm going to plan from this place of realistic. And so as you go through this process, especially if this is your first time through, you might have to remind yourself of this, that you might have to say, okay, here I am yet again, trying to squeeze more in than I can. For example, we're going to get to task blocks. This is a new part of the system this time, where we're going to estimate our time in 30-minute increments. And what I tend to do and have done for many years is I'll look and I'll say, okay, I've got 30 task blocks. And then I'll be like, oh, but if I do this, then that means I don't have enough time to do this other thing I really wanted to do. So then I'll just kind of say, well, I'll get that done faster. And I'll kind of cheat myself and say, well, it's probably going to take me 30, but it's almost like lying to yourself and saying, okay, but I really wanted to write 2 books this quarter, so I'm just going to squeeze them both in. And then inevitably that leads to negative momentum and feeling disappointed in ourselves. And it is there. I see some people talking about a grieving process. That's what I'm talking about. It's like a mourning process or a grieving process sometimes, because everything you decide to do means that you have to let go of something else. We do not have infinite time. And it also, this come as you are also means we can't compare ourselves to other people. And that is really, really tough for many of us, because maybe we have someone that we're taking care of, or maybe we have a chronic illness, or we've had some changes in our family situation, or whatever it is, or we have a full-time job and we get home exhausted because we've got so much on our plates. And we can look at other people who seem to have infinite time, and we can say to ourselves and waste a lot of energy and time saying, if I only had that, if I could only be like that, things would be different. But we have to just be as we are. This is our lives. If you want to start changing it, then you have to accept yourself and your situation as it is now and start making the most of the time you do have. And I'm going to help you get there. So here's how we get from where you are now to where you want to be. So think about this. Instead of living in fear and indecision, we're going to work on clarifying your dreams and then moving confidently toward them, tiny step by step. So a lot of times, like I said, we think we've got to close this gap between where we are now and where we want to be, and we have to do it fast or we're going to miss out on our dreams. But the truth is, even if I handed you that dream life right now, it wouldn't be fulfilling. I know that some of you think that it would be, but it wouldn't be fulfilling, because the true joy is in the journey getting there. The true fulfillment and meaning in your life is in those steps that you take toward that dream life. Everything you've done in terms of the vision is just to put you in the right direction. So now that you've clarified that vision in day one's work and the pre-course homework, now we're going to start moving baby step by baby step toward that dream life. We're also going to work on priorities, deciding what truly matters and focusing your time and energy on that. And we're going to have to let everything else go. It doesn't mean always letting it go forever, but it does mean saying, this is the time I have available, and I'm only going to be able to do these things. And so I'm going to focus here, instead of saying, I've got this much time available, but I'm going to try to do this much stuff, because that doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. Then we're going to break these big, almost impossible seeming goals and aspirations down into these small, achievable tasks. And we're going to aim for progress, not perfection. I know that sometimes when we see a board, somebody's Kanban board, or you see mine, or you've seen them on Facebook or anything like that, you think, oh my gosh, that's so many things. And if I don't get it all done, then I'm a failure. But I'm going to ask you to approach this entire system with a little bit of a shift in your mindset. For some of you, it might be a massive shift in your mindset that you do not have to complete every single task you set out for yourself to be a success. All you have to do to be successful is to make a little bit of progress, a little bit of a step forward this time, and then a little bit of a step forward next time. And before you know it, a few quarters in, and you've got a whole new life. Maybe you quit your job. Maybe you start making a lot more money. Maybe you start realizing how much you really missed some of the fun things you used to do in your life. Maybe you start spending more time with your family. Maybe you write more books because you don't have so much stress on your shoulders all the time. It's like incremental, tiny steps can make massive difference in your life faster than you think. Like I said earlier in the call, there is no one plan fits all solution to productivity. It just doesn't exist. So I want you to take that mindset as well, that I am not going to be a teacher that tells you you have to do it my way or the highway. That's not what we're about here. It's not about being perfect or following my plan exactly. It's about learning a way to build positive momentum in your life. So take the tools that you learn here and then make them your own. So if you don't like a board on the wall because it gives you too much anxiety to have all these little sticky notes, you can adapt it. You can just make a list in your planner. We're going to talk about different ways to adapt it. And then so I keep the groups separate, right? I have a December group that's for new students, and then I have the alumni group. And the reason that I do that is because I've found it to be more supportive to have the new group when you guys ask questions to be able to give you the pure system. And then when you join the alumni, then you can start learning ways of adapting it. And I think that that is really a lot of where the beauty of this program comes in, is you don't have to follow it perfectly. You just have to start building positive momentum, trying it, see what works, see what doesn't. And if there's a part of this, some tool or some way that I teach things, like maybe you don't like the way I set goals and it makes you nervous to set goals that have a number attached to them, then you don't have to do it. You can still be successful even if you completely modify certain parts of it. And that's part of the beauty of it. And I not only allow you to do that, I encourage you to do that. Yes, exactly. So it's kind of like learning the rules so you can break the rules. So the first time through, try the system, trust the process, and then start to modify. And I will be here with you every step of the way. So this is a quote from Gina Greenlee that says, "Few experiences are more satisfying than becoming someone we always imagined we could be." And I love that. And I think that what's cool about this is every single quarter we do a celebrations post in the Bootcamp alumni group. And I get emails from people and I see it happening all the time, that after a couple quarters, people will start to say, oh my gosh, I felt like, that gap we're talking about between who you are now and where you want to be. People start to see that gap close a lot faster than they ever dreamed. Maybe you've been spinning your wheels for years, and now all of a sudden in just 90 days or 2 quarters, you're starting to see your dream life come about. And it's the becoming that's satisfying. Not that you snapped your fingers and you just became that person overnight, but that you went on a journey and you did this for yourself. So let's talk about your vision. Anybody here or somebody that is hesitant to do a vision board? Because I know there already are, and you don't have to actually raise your hand, but I know there are some people that don't like vision boards. They think it's a waste of time. It's like hooey, whatever. And I totally understand and respect you if that's what you feel. But I encourage you, even if your version of a vision board is just going on to Pinterest and pinning a few things, or even if it's just grabbing your notebook and writing down a few sentences about how you want to feel. Yeah, some people are not visual, which is totally fine. I completely respect that. But maybe what you could do instead of a vision board where you have it visually is maybe you could write it out. Here's how I want to feel. Here's what I want to accomplish. And yeah, so some people also will be having no idea. I don't know what to put on there, and that's fine too. But just humor me if you can to at least sit down and think about, if you don't want to think big long-term vision because of various things that have happened in your life, that's fine too. Just start thinking, if you don't want to do objects or you know, specifics, just think, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel differently from what you feel now? And the purpose of this vision board is not just an arts and crafts project or just like a, a filler type of thing that I've asked you to do. This vision board becomes your GPS system. And I really, truly, firmly, 100% believe that there is power in turning ourselves toward the life that we want to live, the way that we want to feel. And a lot of times we feel very scattered because we don't really know where we want to go. It's kind of like, I don't know. And it can be so helpful just to say, that's the way I want to feel. I want to not be so stressed all the time. I want to feel more peace. I want to feel excited about my, about my future, and focus on a feeling. Or maybe you went all out and you said, okay, I want to have this house. I want to have a movie deal. I want, all of these things. But the whole point of doing that is it's just your GPS system. You're orienting yourself in the direction of who you want to be and what you want to accomplish in life. The point of the vision board is not whether or not you actually achieve these things. It's honestly beside the point. The whole point of the vision board is to give yourself a direction to go. Recalculating. It gives you that permission to think about where you're headed. And for some of us, 20 years in the future, 5 years in the future, that feels too big. So just think, where do I want to feel? What do I want to be different about my life by the time we hit the end of 2022? How do I want to feel different by the end of this 90 days? So make it smaller if it needs to be, but take a little bit of time to think about how you want your life to be different, because you go where you're pointed. And you're going to hear me say this a couple of times in the course too. If you're just spinning around, like, I don't know what I want, and I feel, spaghetti's just being thrown all over the wall, or you're a hamster on a wheel, you don't really have anywhere to go. That's why you're spinning your wheels all the time. And you're thinking, I don't know where this is all headed. I can't see results. I'm busy all the time, but I'm not seeing results. That's because you're not pointed in one firm direction. And of course, your vision can change. My vision has shifted. I thought I was going to be living on a beach in Charleston, and now we're in Texas. Who knows where we're going to end up? So your vision can change. You're not married to it forever. But what you'll start to see is that you orient yourself in the direction of your dreams and how you want to feel. And that is going to guide every decision you make from here on out in this system. And so you're going to start to go in the direction that you point yourself. So let that vision point you toward how you most want to feel, who you most want to be. As you go through the HB90 method, I want you to start thinking about how you can start creating that dream life feeling in your life today. So as we talked about in the beginning, oh, thank you. Welcome to Texas. As we were talking about in the beginning, we have that gap between where we are now and where we want to be, and who we want to be, and how we want to show up. But we may not be able to snap our fingers and close that gap right now. But I guarantee you, there are things that you can find in your schedule now that you can start making significant progress toward feeling the way you want to feel in literally just a matter of weeks. Even if it's just, I know I'm working toward this goal in an active way instead of feeling so scattered all the time. So as you start making your plan, just start thinking about, okay, what aspects of that vision can I already start to embody in my life right now? So it could be like, I want more peace. okay, I might be living in an apartment, but I can actually go out on that balcony with a glass of tea every morning and I can start my day from a place of peace. That may not be the long-term dream of having, a house on the lake or, whatever it might be, but that's a piece of that dream life. And that is me already starting to step into that feeling of my dream life. In even small ways can make a difference. Oprah says, what you focus on expands. And when you focus on the goodness in your life, you create more of it. Positive momentum is a cornerstone of the HB90 program. And I find that when we focus on the things that we feel we're doing wrong, or we focus on our stress, or we focus on all the things we have to do that just aren't getting done, it expands. It starts to feel like it takes over our lives. But what you're going to learn to do in this program is to start to focus, like make a realistic plan that will help you focus on the good things. Oh my gosh, look at this. Every single week, I do a weekly review that says, look at me, I'm on track. Look at all the things I got accomplished. And then if you're not there, instead of focusing on the bad things, you can say, okay, what can I do to, reorient, like recalculating, right? What can I do to recalculate? And so you'll find that in this system, you've got those reviews that will constantly be reorienting you back to that dream life. So let's talk about focus. There's only so much to go around. You cannot focus on every single thing all at once and get the results you want. And for those of you that can, even if you manage to do it for a while, you're headed toward burnout city fast. I have seen it happen so many times in this author career of, over a decade, that some people will say, well, I am doing it all. I'm writing this many books and I'm doing all the art marketing and I don't have any help. And I've, got this and this and this. And they're like, I can do it. And then 2 years later, they're like, what happened? Why aren't you writing anymore? Oh my gosh, I just got too burned out. So we want to avoid burnout city and we want to really focus in. And for every task or project you choose to focus on, you're choosing not to focus on another. And this is sometimes where the grieving process comes in. And this is going to be one of the hardest things, not for everybody, but for some of us, this is going to be the hardest thing, is saying, okay, I'm not going to renegotiate. I'm just going to say, this is where I'm focusing. Maybe you're not going to be able to do your website and your LLC and get 3 books written and all this in 90 days, but you can get the website up. And then once the website's up, you can build on that next quarter by publishing your first book. And then the next quarter, you can really start writing your second book. And we're going to take it one step at a time. And I promise you that even though it will feel like you're doing less, you're actually going to see bigger results. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it is so true. I also know that without a clear vision and a plan of how to get there, we often focus on whatever's pulling at our attention at any given time, including what we see other people doing. So like maybe your vision has nothing to do with YouTube. Maybe you don't even really like to be on camera, but maybe you see, oh, Cindy's here and she has a huge YouTube channel and Sarah's on YouTube and maybe these other people are on YouTube and maybe I need to be starting a YouTube channel. So it might not be part of your actual specific vision, but you start feeling like you need to do it because everybody else seems to be doing it. Some people are more susceptible to this than others, but if you are, then you know that you are. And that is one of the other big things. Yeah, squirrel. So true. That is another one of the things that you're going to start to see freedom in this system, is that you're going to be able to look at those things and you're going to be like, oh, I feel like I should do that. Like TikTok, everybody's on TikTok. Why? I need to do reels, whatever. And you're going to be able to say, that is not on my 90-day plan. I can revisit that next quarter, but I'm not doing that this quarter. And then you start to focus in on, okay, when I sit down, I know exactly what I'm working on and I'm not going to get distracted by these other things. And that is part of the beauty of the system. I also know that momentum and mood play a huge role in our ability to focus. Negative momentum, negative self-talk can often spiral into overwhelm and feeling stuck or lost or burned out. It can also cause us to doubt our plan and our worthiness. So being busy all the time and not seeing results, that's negative momentum city. And I don't know about you, but I was stuck there for literally years of my life. Busy all the time, not seeing results. And I just spiraled into negativity, overwhelm, couldn't do anything. That's how I ended up on the couch, literally every day. Positive momentum, however, can build your confidence, boost your motivation. And I actually did 1 quarter. I did a specific, you guys will see it, energy score. I did an alternative goal where I gave myself an energy score and I started to look at how I felt and the things that I was doing to feel better. And I started to notice that on the days that I had more energy and I felt good and I was building positive momentum, I actually got like 3 times as much done. And the days when I was really down on myself or I wasn't feeling good, I got almost nothing done. And so it's really important to try to build positive momentum. And so we're going to talk about that in this course as well. That, oh, Renee, I still feel like I'm on the negative momentum struggle bus. And there are realities that we face. Sometimes there are going to be things. Maybe we don't love our job. Maybe we are exhausted, or maybe we have a chronic illness, or we're a caretaker for someone else. And there's just things that are going to sometimes pull us down when we focus there. But I'm going to teach you in this course ways to start building up some of that more positive momentum and to stick to sometimes even just the smallest tiny little things on your Kanban board, just showing up for yourself and say, I'm just going to do 2 little things. I'm just going to do 2 little things today. And then suddenly you're like, hey, I'm actually getting stuff done even when I don't feel good. I'm really proud of myself. And that will begin to build and stack and stack. So, what have you been focused on? If you're here for the first time, maybe you've been focused on guilt because you're not doing enough, or you're not being the person you think you need to be, or the person everyone else wants you to be. Maybe you've been focused on disappointment because you're not being the person you thought you would be by now. That sometimes can be one that hits hard, of like, oh, by the time I was 50, I thought I was going to be all these things, whatever. And so we're stuck and mired in disappointment. Maybe we're frustrated at all the things you just aren't getting done. Like, you're busy all the time, you're tired, and yet there's still this huge list of things that isn't getting done. Maybe you're feeling shame over all the ways other people seem to be more successful, more beautiful, more joyful, more famous, more rich, or just getting their books out. Maybe you're just feeling ashamed that you haven't been able to do it. You feel like you're flawed. Maybe you've just been focused on fear of what happens if you can't live up to your own expectations, how it'll look if you fail. Or, and I saw some people mentioning this in the bootcamp December group, maybe you're afraid of what actually happens if you succeed. That's a real fear of success. And maybe that's holding you back too. Maybe you've been focusing too much on how much you're falling short. But ask yourself this: what could your life look like if you choose to focus on daily action? That you have a plan in place that says, okay, grieving process over. I have chosen what I'm working on this quarter, come hell or high water. And you just focus every day on getting to that list, whether it's up on a board or in your digital, calendar, or on your planner. You just say, okay, one thing after another, one foot in front of the other. I'm not going to focus on fear anymore. I'm not going to be ashamed of myself. I'm going to start being proud of myself, and I'm going to get this stuff done. And you actually start to follow through and see results. What could your life be like? What if you prioritize joy instead of fear? That's a big one. Let's talk a little bit about our course schedule. Okay. Day 1, yay, picture kickoff call. Check it off the list. You're doing great. Tomorrow in day 2, you're going to focus on priorities. And something that I really want you to understand as we get into this part of the schedule, we talk about things that are going to go, how we're going to go through this class. There are a lot of steps to this program. And for the very first time that you're going through it, especially now when I've added these task blocks and you're going to be counting things up and, all of these things, it's going to feel potentially like a lot. Trust the process. Every single piece of this has been put together in a very specific and strategic way. I have read like every productivity book out on the market, not really everyone, but I have read so many. I've read a lot of the research, and this course is based a lot on that research. And like I said, I know that it doesn't work for everybody exactly as is, But what I'm going to ask you to do is just follow the steps. And if you start to feel overwhelmed by how many steps there are, take a little break, take a walk, come back to it. It's a 7-day boot camp, but you have lifetime access. So if you need a couple days off, plus what's great about this quarter is we decided to take a prep week. So we hit our 13 weeks. Every quarter has 13 weeks. And then we decided, instead of starting the quarter on like December 25th or 6th or whatever it is, 27th, that we were going to take a break week as a group of HB90ers. So you guys have a little bit of an extra week to plan because our quarter won't start until January 3rd. So very exciting. Love me a prep week. Me too, Maureen. So you've got time. Even if you don't have your full plan together till the end of January, it's okay. So just understand that it's going to feel like a lot at some moments. And sometimes it's going to feel redundant. Like, I already wrote this stuff down. I wrote it on my list. Now I'm writing on my project list. I'm writing on my task list. Why do I have to write this down so many times? But trust me, you are trusting me with your money. You are trusting me with your time here. Trust me that I am going to guide you into a place that feels more peaceful. Once your plan is done, after all this, it's going to feel like climbing a mountain. But once that plan is done, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, okay, I see the magic. You're going to start to feel the magic by about day 5. So just hang in there. But tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to look at priorities, and you're going to basically do a brain dump. When you do this, make sure that you read the statements that I have above the video so that you get a chance to really see what we're talking about in each one of those. With the list that you're going to make tomorrow, this isn't about planning yet. Some people start to jump right in. They start making their list of priorities and they think we're planning for Q1, but you're not yet. Just take it exactly as it is. For day 2, we're not planning yet. We're just writing it all down, getting it all out of your head. So that means every tiny little thing that you think might be something you want to do someday. Like, I've been thinking about TikTok. I've been thinking someday I want to have a shop of my own where I send out t-shirts, or I want to do more swag, or I want to write this other series. You're just going to take it all out of your head and you're going to write it all down, so that instead of being this mess of tangled Christmas lights in your brain, it's going to actually be a list that you can begin to sort. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, is we're going to start sorting our priorities. Day 3, you're going to start to see, so some of the videos that you'll see will be me recorded from my house in Charleston, and some of them will be me recorded from this house, because I'm adding some new videos, and we're going to be taking a new look at time this quarter. And I really, really hope that this is going to take this course up a notch, because I feel like time estimation, like how much time do you really have and how much time is every project going to take you, is kind of the weakest link of this system so far. And I feel like I may have solved it. So with this, we're going to start looking at time, your estimated time, in terms of task blocks, which is basically 30-minute increments. And so I'm going to explain how that works. And then you're going to create a schedule for the quarter that basically says, this is how many 30-minute chunks of time you have to work on your goals. And I'm going to walk you through that whole system, but we're going to really get serious about your time, because time estimating is going to revolutionize your planning process. And this is where some of the grief is in, because you're going to start to realize that maybe you're trying to fit, 500 days worth of work into 90 days, and you just can't do that. Or once we get into task blocks, you'll realize you have 1,000 task blocks this quarter, and you were trying to fit in 3,500 task blocks or 5,000 task blocks, and you just can't do that. You have to make the math fit. You have to make what you plan to do fit into the time you have available. And it is going to feel tough for some people, but I want you to know, every step of the way, I am yours. All you have to do is reach out. Tag me on Facebook, reach out on email. For some people, I know that Facebook is a toxic place and you may not want to be there. For some people, you're not on Facebook. You're welcome to come join our Discord server. I did put a link to it in the course website. It's my fan Discord server, but there is a Hardee's Hangout there. So you're welcome to come join there and ask around. Anybody in the HB90, can we come chat about this, so that you have that support. Day 4 is all about goal setting. And for some of you that are new, this might be a totally new way of setting goals. So this is going to be a fun day. And this is the day that you will have me all day for if you want help wording your goals, I'm there for you. Then day 5, we're going to take those goals, which kind of are like big umbrellas, and we're going to decide which projects go underneath it. And this, like I said, day 5 is where the magic starts to come in, because this is where you start to see how much control you have and how each little thing just perfectly slides into the time you have available. And there's going to be projects that you have to push back. Okay, I'm not going to have time for this one, but you're going to start to feel the relief by day 5 that you can actually do this, that you're not over planning, that you're not going to be overwhelmed, that this is an achievable quarter. Day 6 is our tasks day. So we break it down even further. So you've got your goals, the big umbrella, projects go underneath it. Those are kind of like your big to-do list things. And then we break those projects down into tiny little bite-sized actionable tasks. And this is where you'll have a choice. You can either set up a Kanban board on the wall like I do, or you can make a board, a digital board someplace like Trello, which you can do for free, or on Notion, which you can do for free, or you can just start making lists. And we'll talk about all those different things. And then the final day is follow through, because raise your hand if you have made plan after plan after plan, and then you just don't follow through with it. And some of you are alumni sitting here right now going, I still am not following through the way that I want to on HB90. This is your chance. And on day 7, I really go into how to use your planner, how to work the program on a day-to-day basis. And I do want you to, even if you're here as an alumni and you haven't followed through the way you want to, I want you to understand that when you actually start moving those things down, checking those things off the list, you are actually getting things done. And maybe you're just being too hard on yourself by expecting yourself to do it all. I've talked about this over and over, but I never, ever, ever finish everything on my Kanban board. I never do it, but I'm still moving forward. I'm still making progress. I'm still seeing results. And I bet you are too. So if you're an alumni and you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I've done this system a few times and I'm still not following through, as you plan for the new year, I want you to start really asking yourself, what isn't working? What am I doing that isn't working? And how can I modify it? And if you can't figure it out, come to the alumni group or come to me in email or come into Discord and say, what can I do? Has anybody had this problem? Here's what I do. I set up the board and then I don't use it, or whatever. Some people, maybe you resisted having the board set up and then it's out of sight, out of mind. Maybe you need that board. Give yourself permission to try something new this time. But we have an entire day dedicated to follow through. And what's cool is that once you are done with this 7-day boot camp, you're going to be asked to come join the alumni group, or like I said, you can come join the Discord server, but I will be there any step. Doesn't matter if it's a year from now, 2 years from now, you can say, hey, here's my goal. What do you think of this? And I will be there with you, right? And that is really cool. So why 90 days? Why not just month to month, right? Why not just plan the whole year? 90 days works really, really well for a lot of us because it's long enough to start seeing results. If you only had a week at a time, you don't really see the progress yet. Like, you can't decide that you want to raise your Instagram followers by 1,000 and then do it in a week, right? You don't know if what you're doing is working yet. So giving yourself 3 full months to work on a plan and to start making momentum gives you enough time to see if what you're doing is actually moving the needle, right? Then it's not so long that you don't get a fresh start. Sometimes when we plan for an entire year, we're already behind 90 days in, and then our whole plan is messed up. So 90 days is like just long enough to see results, but not so long that you're so far off. And then you get a new chance to plan again. Some of you might want to adapt your Kanban board though, or your plan. You may have your 90-day plan, but when you look at what you're doing, you're only thinking about this month. So you're going to get an opportunity to do that when we get to day 5 and day 6 on projects and tasks. You're going to have an ability to say, these are the things I'm focused on in January. These are the things I'm focused on in February. And these are the things in March. So if you want to, you could just set up your board just for January to start off with, and then you can reset it every month, but you'll have your whole 90-day plan written in your planner. So a few key things to remember before we go today. Keep that vision of your ideal life front and center. Even if your vision so far is just a set of words of how you want to feel, or if it's just a single image of that house you want to buy, or it's a single thought or a piece of journaling that you've done about how you want your life to go over the next year. Keep that vision front and center, because it is going to be your GPS system, your guide for all these priorities that you start looking at. It's going to help you from getting distracted by the things you felt like you should be doing. Keep in mind that every day builds on the previous day. So don't get ahead of yourself. Day 2, I'm going to give you a specific set of tasks, but don't start setting your goals yet. You won't set goals till day 4. So stay on each day, and it's going to start to build like a Lego set, and it'll start to, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was like an entire Star Wars, whatever. It's going to start to come together. And at first it's just going to look like a bunch of mess of pieces, but by day 4 and 5, you're going to start to see a full plan come together, which means that I want you to trust the process. Trust me to lead you there. Don't get ahead. Don't get overwhelmed. If you start to get overwhelmed, just take a step back, reach out for help. I'm here for you. Even if you don't get through it this week and you need help next week or 2 weeks from now, I'm here. Just reach out through email, but trust the process. It's been put together mindfully and strategically to lead you to a plan that will give you more freedom than you've ever had before. Also, and I say this every single time, don't get so caught up in the details of the plan that you miss the freedom that it offers. If you can't figure out exactly where something goes on a list, like tomorrow, day 2, you're going to make all these lists, and then I'm going to ask you to assign a number 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you start to feel like, I can't decide if this is a 2 or a 1, don't worry about it. Do not get so caught up in every tiny little detail that you get paralyzed. Just say, progress, not perfection. I'm going to put a 2 on that, and I'm going to keep moving forward, and just keep it trucking. If you start to feel like you're getting stuck on something, reach out either in the group or Discord or email. We're here to support you. You don't have to go through this alone, but just know if you can't figure out where it goes, that's fine. Maybe when you get to goal day, you're going to be like, okay, this way of setting goals doesn't work for me. I just want to set a project. Then just set a project. And I'm going to give you lots of alternative ways to do it. So take deep breaths when you start to feel resistance, because sometimes that resistance is not coming because of the plan itself. It's coming because you're scared of what happens when you actually follow through with the plan and start to become the person you've always wanted to be. And that's a normal fear to have, and it's going to be okay. Baby steps, baby steps. Maybe you only want to set 1 goal instead of setting 3. It's going to be okay. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. Keep an open mind. Like I said, you can adapt or modify anything in this course to your personal needs, to your style. It's all adaptable. It's a very, very flexible. It's going to feel like I'm giving you all these instructions, but once you've been through it once, you'll start to see that there's actually a lot of freedom in how you do this. If something feels overwhelming, find a way to simplify it. I can help you. So if you walk away from this call with one thing, just know you're not alone in this. I'm here with you. This is not the kind of course where somebody just gives you 1,000 videos to watch and then you never get to speak to them. I answer every email. This method gets more powerful the more you use it. Start simple. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Thank you, Nadine. That's so true. This method gets more powerful the more you use it. The reason is because you learn about yourself, and every single step you're asking yourself what's working and what's not working. How can I do better? What can I adapt? How can I change? And sometimes every quarter you're going to be in a different situation and you're going to need to adapt it. Sometimes you're going to want to set 3 goals. Sometimes you're going to just want to set 1. I'll teach you how to set goals in a certain way, but maybe where you are in your career, you're just going to set 1 goal and it's actually technically just going to be a project, finish your rough draft. And that's okay. Nobody is going to judge you based on what your goals are. This is not a way that we're trying to judge or be down on anything. I want more than anything for you to be a success, and I am invested in that success for you. And so we will find a way that makes sense to you. So don't be worried about trying to start simple and build on it. Amen to that, third quarter using it. And I'm so much clearer than I was. I have been doing this system for myself now for several years, and I adapt and change. Like the new task blocks have totally revamped the whole thing in terms of my time estimating. And I think it will help you too. And we're going to make it better every single time. But the more you use it, the more powerful it gets. Okay, some final things. You don't need more time to make your dreams come true. It feels like you do, especially if you're working a full-time job or you have a lot of demands on your time. You don't need more time. All you need is vision and focus. Even if all you're capable of right now, where you are, as you are, is tiny baby steps in the right direction still get you to the destination of your dream life. It's not a race. You have lifetime access, so there's no such thing as being behind. So are you ready to make that change in your life? I really, really want to drive it home to you that no matter where you are in your life right now, whether you have a lot of time and you just feel like it's unfocused, or you have very little slivers of time and you're tired and there's all these other things. Meet yourself where you are. Tiny little baby steps. Don't underestimate what you're capable of doing over the course of multiple quarters. You cannot be late for what is meant for you. You cannot miss it. You don't have to rush to fill that gap. You're on a journey here. So be on the journey. Meet yourself where you are and see that dream version of yourself begin to appear over time. Alon's heat, right? I'm ready too, you guys. I'm super, super ready. I'm all in for me, not for someone else. I love it. I love it. This is it. 2022 is right here. So let's start planning that dream life, you guys. So kickoff call done. 3:01 or 4:01 for some of you, or who knows, 1 minute after we made it. This is it. We have an opportunity for a fresh start. And it's not about piling so much on your plate and being ultra productive. It is truly about being realistic about the time you have available and focusing in on the things that are going to start moving you where you want to go. All right, you guys, I love you. I am eternally, eternally grateful that you are here, that you're taking this journey with all of us. Very, very grateful for each of you, and I am invested in your success. So let's make this happen in just a few hours. I think 3 hours, 4 hours, your day 2 will unlock. And then starting on day 3 tomorrow night, you will get your first look at the new task blocks videos. So, all right, you guys, I'm so, so glad you're here. I cannot wait for all the awesomeness this week and to start off 2022 with all of you. All right, you guys, I will see you in the group or an email, or come join that Discord server. If you're not on Facebook, you're welcome there with all of us. All right. Happy planning. Bye, you guys.